Picture a basketball game, the score tied, and the clock ticking down to the final seconds. Every pass, every shot, it's all on the line. That's the kind of pressure swing states bring to U.S. elections, and 2024 is no exception. 7 crucial states hold the power to decide the next president, making them the ultimate battleground. The uncertainty of these swing states is a ticking time bomb for both candidates. So which states are in play? Has Trump secured a victory in these areas, or do they signal trouble for Harris? Let's try to find out the answers. But before we look at how the swing states can affect the election, let's first know, what are the swing states? In simple terms, a swing state is one where neither the Democratic nor the Republican candidate has a clear majority. The vote could swing either way. Swing states are crucial because they often determine the outcome of the entire election. In the last 6 elections, the winner of any 4 swing states won the presidency. So, why are swing states so important, especially in 2024? The answer lies in the U.S. electoral system, which is state-centric. Unlike other countries where the national popular vote determines the winner, the U.S. uses the Electoral College. Each state has a certain number of electoral votes, and most states follow a winner-takes-all approach. This means that if you win the popular vote in a swing state, you take all its electoral votes, making these states the ultimate battlegrounds. But the swing states aren't a new phenomenon. Their significance dates back to the early 1800s, particularly after the highly competitive 1800 election between Aaron Burr and Thomas Jefferson. After the Civil War, the issue of slavery created swing states like Ohio. Ohio has been a key swing state for over a century. No Republican has won the presidency without winning Ohio, a trend that goes back to Abraham Lincoln. Ohio's 17 electoral votes could be the difference between a Trump victory or a Harris win in 2024. The race between Trump and Harris offers 7 key swing states: Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, North Carolina, and Nevada. Together, these states control 93 electoral votes. If Trump and Harris win all of the states in their solid, likely, and lean categories, the race will come down to the 7 swing states. Harris would need 44 electoral votes from the toss-up states to win, while Trump would need 51. Let's look at how these states will decide who's sitting in the Oval Office in January 2025. First up, we have Arizona with its 11 electoral votes. Once a Republican stronghold until 2016, Arizona swung to Biden in 2020, marking a dramatic shift after decades of voting red. This change reflects the state's evolving demographics, particularly with immigration being a hot-button issue in 2024. Pennsylvania is the crown jewel of swing states with 19 electoral votes, the most of any battleground state. In 2020, Biden, a Pennsylvania native, won the state and secured his path to the presidency. But don't forget that Trump won Pennsylvania in 2016, ending a long streak of Democratic victories. With just a 1.2 percentage point margin in 2020, Pennsylvania will be a fierce battleground again. Next is Georgia, holding 16 electoral votes. Georgia's shift to blue in 2020 was a historic moment, the first time a Democrat carried the state since Bill Clinton in 1992. Black voter turnout and enthusiasm played a huge role in Biden's victory. As we approach November, this voting bloc could once again be the deciding factor in whether Georgia stays blue or flips back to red. Michigan, with its 15 electoral votes, is another critical battleground. While Michigan has leaned Democratic in recent decades, it's no stranger to being in the spotlight. Trump's 2016 victory there shattered the so-called blue wall, but Biden rebuilt it in 2020. This year, the economy is top of mind for Michigan voters, especially the working class. Both Harris and Trump know that winning Michigan could mean winning the White House. Next is Nevada. Don't let Nevada's 6 electoral votes fool you into thinking it's unimportant. Nevada has consistently leaned Democratic in recent elections, but the margins have been tight. In 2020, Biden won Nevada by a narrow margin, continuing a streak of Democratic victories. Interestingly, while immigration is a major issue given Nevada's proximity to the southern border, the economy is actually polling as the top concern for voters here. Moving to North Carolina, which holds 16 electoral votes, this state may lean Republican, but it's still very much a swing state. Trump won here by just 1.3 percentage points in 2020, making it a key target for both parties in 2024. Democrats are hoping to turn North Carolina into the Georgia of 2024, and it could be a crucial pickup for Harris if other battleground states lean toward Trump. Finally, we have Wisconsin, with its 10 electoral votes. Wisconsin was once considered a reliably blue state until Trump won it in 2016, turning it into a battleground. Biden managed to flip it back in 2020, but just barely. Both campaigns have heavily invested in Wisconsin this year, with Milwaukee even hosting the Republican National Convention. This shows just how valuable Wisconsin's 10 votes really are. Most states use a winner-takes-all system for allocating electoral votes. This means that even if a candidate wins by just a small margin, they get all of that state's electoral votes. Even the narrowest victories can have a huge impact. As the election approaches, Pennsylvania quickly becomes one of the most critical swing states. With its 19 electoral votes potentially deciding the election's outcome, both campaigns focus heavily on the state. This is why swing states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin are so heavily contested. Winning one of these states can tip the balance in the Electoral College and secure the presidency. Only Maine and Nebraska do things a little differently by splitting their votes more proportionally, but for the most part, it's all or nothing. So how are both candidates faring? The Atlas Intel polls further solidify Trump's strength in Michigan. According to their data, Trump leads with 50.6% to Harris's 47.2%, a 3.4% advantage. This is a considerable lead for Trump in a state that is critical for Harris. If Trump can maintain or extend this lead, Harris could lose Michigan, which would dramatically hurt her chances of winning the election. In Wisconsin, the Atlas Intel poll shows Trump leading by 1.5%, with 49.7% to Harris's 48.2%. Wisconsin was another crucial state for Biden in the last election, and Harris will have to work hard to regain the trust of voters there. But with Trump's increasing popularity, Harris is clearly on the defensive in Wisconsin. Moving to Georgia, Harris does hold a narrow lead over Trump according to Atlas Intel, with 50.5% to Trump's 49.6%, a 0.9% gap. However, Georgia has become a battleground state in recent years, and Trump still has a fighting chance to flip it back into the Republican column. In Arizona, Trump leads by 1.2% in the Atlas Intel poll, with 49.8% to Harris's 48.6%. Arizona has seen a demographic shift in recent years, with younger and more diverse voters leaning towards the Democrats. But Trump's continued presence in the state indicates he still has significant support. Nevada, however, is looking more favorable for Harris. She leads Trump by 2.8%, with 50.5% to Trump's 47.7%, according to Atlas Intel. This is one of the few swing states where Harris holds a solid lead, but the margin is still slim enough that it could be swayed by unforeseen factors in the weeks leading up to the election. When it comes to betting odds, the numbers also reflect the competitiveness of this race. Polymarket shows Harris leading in 4 out of the 6 key swing states. For example, Harris is favored to win Nevada with a 53% chance compared to Trump's 47%. However, Trump is leading in Arizona with a 64% chance of victory, and in Georgia, where he's projected at 59% to Harris's 41%. In Pennsylvania, the odds are nearly even, with Harris having a 51% chance of winning and Trump trailing closely at 49%. These numbers reflect just how close this election will be, especially in states like Pennsylvania, where polling errors could significantly impact the final result. Interestingly, while Polymarket gives Harris a strong lead in Michigan, Harris at 65% to Trump's 35%, other polls suggest that Trump is gaining ground in the state. These discrepancies show just how volatile polling data can be. Finally, let's take a look at the national polling odds. Nationally, the race is essentially tied. According to the latest figures, Harris is at 50%, while Trump is at 49%. Though national polls don't necessarily determine the outcome of an election, thanks to the Electoral College, they provide insight into the overall mood of the electorate. Trump's strong showing in swing states like Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, combined with Harris's difficulties in traditionally blue states, could tip the balance in Trump's favor. Even if Harris holds a slight national lead, both campaigns have a lot of work ahead of them, and every state, every voter, and every electoral vote will be critical. But the bigger question is why an election of 330 million people may still come down to few votes. The answer lies in the U.S. election system. The U.S. Electoral College, which consists of 538 votes distributed among the 50 states and the District of Columbia, ultimately determines the winner. Each state is allocated at least 3 electoral votes based on its congressional delegation, with the smallest states and Washington, D.C., receiving 3 votes each. In contrast, the most populous states receive far more. California, for instance, has 54 electoral votes, Texas 40, Florida 30, and New York 28. To win the presidency, a candidate must secure at least 270 electoral votes. If no candidate reaches this threshold, the House of Representatives elects the president from among those who received electoral votes. So, what do you think who will win the swing states to claim the presidency in 2024?